So I'm gonna play one of these pieces for you, number two. I'll just play a little bit of it, and I want you to tell me how I can maybe interpret it a little bit different. So that's one way, and it's quite pleasant. Anyone catch any other ways I can do it? Yep.
You could add more like tenuto cutoffs kind of thing, like let them taper.
Okay. With a relaxation of rhythm, or just with the dynamic? Am I going to
The
take
dynamic.
Okay. At the end of phrases, are you talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. What else? Yep.
Like more light and
More light. Interesting. Now, how can I make it more light?
not necessarily like shortening the lengths of notes, just playing them.
Bounce off of
Yeah,
them.
like more
give more
bounce
space.
than more
Bounce?
space between notes.
More space between notes. Okay. Bounce off of them. Let's see. Like that?
Yeah.
Okay. What else? Yep.
You could try phrasing differently, grouping notes different, or maybe breathing in different places.
Bingo. Yes, phrasing the notes a little bit different, and it actually has to do with also the bounce or the lift or the lightness of the notes, and also how you dovetail some of the notes. So what you were talking about. Yes, a lot of what we consider phrasing has to do with the amount of, again, tension and release, but that's not just harmonically tension and release. It's also rhythmically, where we're putting the weight and where we're lifting the weight, so to speak. So when I started this, I played it very vocal in the sense that I stretched across the notes. That sounds fine. But what if I wanted to take a phrasing structure that was more dance-like? So that way I'm phrasing it more in groups of three. Exactly. So it's more of a waltz, as you say. So I mean, it's a totally different way of phrasing it than sort of the long broad phrase. And of course, with any type of waltz or three feel, there's a hierarchy, like maybe the first bar and the third bar are heavier than the second and fourth, or maybe the first bar and the fourth bar are heavier than the second and third. So then you can think of how do I phrase on a big scale now that I've decided I want to group the notes as three. So all these are valid ways of phrasing things, but as your player, you should be thinking about this as you're playing when you have the option to do so. Obviously, if the conductor has an interpretation of something, whatever interpretation you come up with has to work inside of that. But certainly be thinking on that level, especially if you're a tuba player or low bass player, because otherwise things become really boring. If you're, especially when you don't know the melody. So these ideas of phrasings and interpreting music in different ways should become the habit when you play. Whenever you pick up your instrument, think of what is it that I want to say? How am I interpreting this music to express something and what is that something, versus, okay, now I gotta play in G major, which has 1 sharp, and I gotta remember that F sharp. Yes, you have to remember that stuff, but that is secondary to the expressive quality of the music. Now, I've talked about rhythmic phrasing, but let's take that one that I started with, that popular Bordoni etude that I started with. It's a very simple sounding phrase, but let's see how many different ways I can play it. I can play it just the way I just did, which is basically as written. I can play it like this. I could play it like this. Or I can play it like this. Or I can play it like this. And then I can couple the two and mix and match them different ways. Now, be honest with me. Is there anybody who didn't hear the different ways that I was doing it? And online, maybe because the mics are set a bit behind me, maybe you didn't hear it. But I'll illustrate. Anyone didn't hear? Well, someone pretend you didn't hear so I can explain it. Okay, great. So the first way, I took the long note and I sort of made that the expressive, the peak of the expressive moment, which is common. A lot of pop singers do that, especially. So the second note of that phrase, that first phrase, and then everything else was kind of an afterthought after that. The second time I played, I sort of extended and reached into the beginning of the triplet. In other words, the third note, and I made that the expressive moment. And I did that in 2 ways. Not only did I increase my vibrato towards that note, but I increased my volume towards that note, and I held that note just a bit longer. With a little rubato, right? Brought it up. Then the next way I did it, I said I'm gonna go all the way through that triplet and go to the next downbeat and make that be the moment that I'm aiming for. And that's very nice. And the last time I aimed right through to the last note of the piece, so I continue on to the next phrase. So I really made the phrases link up together. See, there are what? 1, 2, 3, 4 different ways of playing that. And all of them are very nice. And all of them can work, and you can start with one and develop through the piece into other ways of doing it. But all those different ideas were not necessarily rhythmically based or based on a certain grouping rhythmic feel, but they're based on melodically and harmonically, where do I hear the music leading to? So as you're coming up with your interpretation, there are 2 things to think about, 2 main things. Rhythm and harmony, right? And of course, melody is linked to harmony because it implies certain harmonic things below it. But when you play, it's so easy for us to think, yeah, rotary breathing is cool, and playing high is great, especially trumpet players that like to add the high note on the end of pieces. And playing loud is fantastic, but none of that means anything unless we're engaging the part of our brain that expresses something, that actually says something unique. So I can say the way that Matt plays a piece is different than the way I play a piece because he's thought about it and come up with different ideas versus that he hasn't thought about it, it's just playing the ink and trying to get through and surviving. You don't want to be a player that just plays the notes and the pitches. And actually you want to be a player that expresses the music even at the expense of the notes and the pitches, and which sounds kind of weird. But again, as I said before, I've heard middle school band concerts that are really exciting because you can hear the excitement in their delivery of the music. As much as they play it out of tune maybe, or maybe they're not quite together, you can hear the excitement in what they're trying to say. You can, even with communicating with little kids, you can do that. You may not understand half the words that they're saying, but you know they're saying something exciting to you, and that's what makes them interesting to interact with. Whereas someone who speaks very clearly, but is not very exciting to talk to, is somebody you don't really want to hang out with that much. You don't want to be those people. You have any questions on any of the stuff I said today? Okay, you mind if I maybe finish out one of these and we call it a day? All right. Tell you what, I'll start from the middle of one of these etudes and finish out. This is the one I played the first half of it for you before. This is how it finishes off. Thank you, folks.